Hello everyone, welcome to a new market update, and today we're going to discuss the primary question: when will we see an alt season like 2017? And in general, you should not be comparing the current market to what happened in 2017, as that was the ICO mania, but markets tend to move in cycles, so we will discuss some bullet points and some tricky things to watch for altcoins to surge, as they will at some point. But before we continue, I would like to say thank you very much for following me on Twitter. Yesterday I've broken through the 100k barrier, six-figure club, massive amount of messages. So thank you, thank you, thank you. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel, as right now we are growing fast on YouTube as well, and we're growing in the back, in which we're going to make more professional content as well. And don't forget to follow me on Instagram. So then the question is, when will the alt season start? And the majority of the people are fixated by watching intraday price movements, or are eager to watch what's happening currently with the altcoins themselves. People are emotionally attached to their bags, and that is something that you shouldn't be doing at all, as your bags are just assets that you trade or invest in, and you should be able to get rid of them without any emotions at all, as in the end the only thing you should be having a relationship with is your portfolio. So if you want to become emotionally attached, it should be your portfolio or your portfolio balance, in which you are always eager to make the best decisions, or are eager to learn to make those best decisions, and you should not be able to get those feelings by a certain bag that you're holding. So that's also going to refuse, or making it easier for you to make appropriate decisions, in which you're going to make close your bags earlier as well, as you don't have that emotional bias with the bags itself. But alt season is definitely coming around, and we just have to go through the phases of when we are going to get one. And well, I just wanted to add this one, as Pepe is always our best friend, and at some point we will have that famous alt season. And we have seen a very tiny one, but that was mainly through Bitcoin USDT doing really well, but alts were doing really bad, in their Bitcoin value started to stabilize since December, as the Bitcoin dominance has dropped down some points as well. But there's still some more to go through before we're going to see the altcoin BTC pass surge heavily. And for that, I've made this slide, in which we're just going through it step by step. Altcoins will not do well all the time. That's why you have those money cycles or market cycles within the market cycle, in which certain periods of the year altcoins will do well, certain periods of the year altcoins will not do well. Similarly with Bitcoin doing well in a bull cycle in some years, and in some years it won't. That's just the money cycle, that you can play it on the big asset classes. You can also play it within a certain asset class. That's just always how it works. The money cycle often ends when all the speculators are jumping into the markets, as that is the moment that probably the large dudes are going to make their profits, and they will always be one step, the majority is always one step behind, as they are usually just getting triggered by hype. That's what we saw recently as well. Actually I had the radio interview, and I said this might be a temporary top, as the FOMO is insane, and most likely will just get a very harsh correction to crush those FOMO buyers. That's what happens. So the alt season in itself is already starting. It's already going on. You already saw some altcoins do well, but the actual calls for alt season and calling it an alt season, those altcoins will be up significantly already, and then it's probably the end stage of the alt season, as that is when the big gains are made. So you have to allocate accordingly before it actually is being called an alt season, because people first want to make or see those moves and then call it an alt season. But what have we seen? We have seen Bitcoin running heavily, we have seen Ethereum following through, we have seen major caps following through. Then Bitcoin starts to correct, That's what we saw as well. Everything corrects alongside with it to just take out all the over leveraged longs and FOMO buyers. Then everything starts to make a higher low. Bitcoin starts to stabilize. Volatility starts to drain away from Bitcoin in itself. That's what we saw in 2016 and 2017 as well, when the first real alt season started. Then altcoins start to do well. Why? People feel and know that Bitcoin is bottomed out, or maybe not the majority of the people actually know, but the big players know. So they start to use Bitcoin as their base pair. Right now there's just too much uncertainty as Bitcoin has been correcting, and there's no guarantee that we hit the actual low. So once Bitcoin has hit that low, it starts to grind upwards, as there are many levels that it has to take out before we're actually going to accelerate again for the next impulse wave. And because of that, people are feeling comfortable by holding Bitcoin as their base pair. And that is the nature when altcoins are going to do really well in their Bitcoin pair, as people are using those Bitcoins that they hold to trade altcoins in the Bitcoin pairs. And if you want to see altcoins do well, you have to compare them towards Bitcoin through the alt-Bitcoin pairs. There's no point in watching the USD pair alone, as the USD pair has been accelerating recently significantly because of Bitcoin USDT runnings. You always have to use both of them, and the alt BTC pairs give you signals whether it's bottom out or not. So what do we have to see? We have to see that Bitcoin is bottoming out. That's probably quite close. Maybe some more corrections towards mid 20k. Who knows? I don't know. If we get there, I'm a big buyer again. And from there, we most likely get a very calm period for Bitcoin, and then altcoins will start to do well. And as I said in the last point, altcoins generally have been doing well through BTC USDT doing well. USD value of altcoins go up while BTC pairs drop. History, we know that the previous biggest alt season happened in December 2017, but actually it happens every 3 to 4 months. So even in 2019 we saw runs of altcoins of a few 100%. In 2020, if you don't remember it anymore, check the charts. During the summer we had Chainlink going 10x. We had IEOs doing great. We had DeFi coming around. So there are those cycles already, and you have to play them wisely. And we also saw that after this cycle, the majority retraces fully in their Bitcoin pair as Bitcoin starts to accelerate. So at some point, Bitcoin is overvalued compared to the altcoins, and at some point Bitcoin is going to be undervalued compared to the altcoins value, and then the money switches over. That's the same as with gold being undervalued at this point towards stocks. So you see that at some point money starts to flow from stocks towards gold, and then gold becomes overvalued and stocks undervalued. You just have those data, and then the money flows towards stocks again. And even within the commodities markets, you can do the exact same and allocate your money wisely. What did we see in 2017? We did see Bitcoin ran towards a new all-time high. We also did see that Bitcoin corrects 30% first, altcoins correct too, Bitcoin stabilizes, and then altcoins start to run heavily through what we have just discussed. Once Bitcoin is stable and finishes its correction, altcoins will start to show their strength through the Bitcoin pairs. And that's most likely going to be later in the quarter when Bitcoin finishes its correction, or during the summer period, as that usually is the best period for altcoins. Then, if we can see the historical price action, I'm not going through it too much, but we do see that Bitcoin has been making that all-time high during 17th of December or somewhere in that region, and the actual alt season took place in January and February. During this period we started to do well, and we also had one during this period. If we go towards history of ETH in general, and we go towards 17 December of 2017, we actually see a similar price structure as what we have witnessed currently. We did see that the price was accelerating already, then it started to moon some more and corrected heavily to test previous price levels before it started to run again, and that was the actual alt season. So in this case we see that this day was the day that Bitcoin corrected, ETH corrected with it, however it just retested previous levels. And since then, in the weeks after, when Bitcoin stabilized, as we can see in the structure here, Bitcoin stabilized until around the 10th of January, ETH continued its run towards the all-time high, making a run of around, what is it, 200%. It's showing that during Bitcoin stabilizing or grinding upwards, altcoins will do relatively well, which means that in the current structure, it's quite comparable to what we saw back then or what we saw in previous alt seasons. So right now, we most likely are going to see that correction all across the markets, which means that lower levels of ETH are going to get tested. We might be seeing 900 again, we might be seeing 750 again, depending on the correction of Bitcoin in itself. And from there on, Bitcoin will start to stabilize, and these are going to make a new run up, given that each Bitcoin is going to make that run. And you can see the compression being built up here, in which a big breakout is on the horizon for ETH Bitcoin. So concluding, we're getting close towards one, which you just have to be patient, allocate wisely, and then everything will come around when everyone starts to scream about alt season or the gains they make with altcoins. Remember to sell your positions. Next, tomorrow we're going to make a new price prediction for a project as well. Don't forget to subscribe and follow me on Instagram, and I wish you a wonderful day.